So here's a great insight I have concerning morning huddles. Great buzzword, you hear it everywhere in all different kind of businesses. They don't work. They just don't work. And when you look at morning huddles, when you're speaking especially about productivity, I think they're totally counterproductive. And here's why. And let's talk about this in reference to doctor productivity. The person who's going to lead the show is going to be the doctor. And if you look as far as the overall view of what happens versus right down to the day-to-day dance that occurs in that operatory where you're producing dentistry, which also interfaces with where dentistry is being produced in the hygiene operatories, it has to be controlled by the operator. It has to be controlled by the doctor. The producer is a better way to put it because it also occurs in the hygiene operatory with the hygienist controlling her schedule. So here's what happens with morning huddles. People show up, they're not engaged. And if you even get a doctor who is engaged to be there, they show up, people kind of check their boxes off, they forget why they're there. A morning huddle does not work. And here's where I think it goes. You can have your own morning huddle, but it better be in the head of the producer. You can't show up, you can't get rid of morning huddles, just change this thing. It's not a morning huddle, I call it prepping for your day. So it's in the doctor's head. To have his team with him is a very convenient way to slough off a duty. And you go to a countless number of seminars, it becomes a real focus point. Morning huddles are essential. Morning huddles aren't essential. What's essential is you're properly prepared for the day. You're prepared what's going to happen, how you're set up in your schedule, where you're going to go, where you see the intricacies in your schedule that you can put walk-ins in, that you could put emergencies in. So when I start my day, I'll just kind of walk through where we go with this. I look at the appointments, I look at what the day is set up for, and I walk through each minute of the day. Am I booked appropriately? What's going to happen? Where do I have those emergencies that walk in? Where do I slot them? Where am I going to do my hygiene checks? How many do I have lined up across the board? Where am I going to put the anesthetic? How can I leave that operatory on time? I need a block to sit down and do a quadrant of dentistry. You'll see some of this in the process video where we do some real in-op stuff. But that only occurs ahead of time when you anticipate the worst case scenarios, when something can happen, and here's what happens when you do this. When the worst case scenario happens, you can handle it. You've got buffer time in there, you know where you are, and most important, in your primary appointment that's scheduled, the patient does not even know what's going on. It's in your head. Your team will follow your lead. If you let your team do it, the team's not really quite sure where you are in your head. It just does not work. It's not coordinated. People are looking in terms of where they're going to be, how they're going to be, and it's all dependent on the doc. You've got 3 or 4 fingers pointing at the doc. Now the doc can't slough this off. Because what happens is, if they leave it up to the doc or they leave it up to the team, they will build a lot of extra time in there, and that is a killer. That extra time does 2 things. It just kills your productivity for the day, but it makes people lazy. It makes people adapt. People adapt to the time at hand. So your duty that's there, which you efficiently might get done in, say, a half-hour slot, it's easy to extend it to 45 minutes. And when you get doctors on board and staff on board that you know you've got, it happens to everybody, it happens to me as well. When you have extra time, you spend more time relating to the patient because you care about the patient. You spend more time talking to your staff, touching the staff, because it's a very tough job we do. But the bottom line is, these things that happen, when there isn't a walk-in, when you have maximized your treatment, when you aren't able to pull somebody from hygiene, look at them as little jewels in your day to make those nice touches. You can't be like a machine. You don't want to be like a machine, but don't make the mistake and allow the schedule to control you. And it starts with your prep for the day. So here's the simple conclusion to that. Morning huddles don't work, I don't do them. I come in literally 20 minutes before my day. I quickly go through my day. I make myself a little side post-it note. Literally, where I've got my pinch points, where I've got points that I can put somebody in, and if in fact I've been overbooked or underbooked in my already benchmarked appointments. That's when you need to know where I need to crank it up, where I need to shift somebody around, or where I absolutely cannot put a walk-in. And if I need help from somebody else, if I'm already overbooked, which is going to happen, ideally it shouldn't if you've got a great receptionist. So in summary, they don't work, it's got to be here.